Welcome back to Spiritual Glow Up. Throughout the King James Version, KJV of the Bible, we can find numerous examples of God's teachings and guidance towards leading a righteous and virtuous life. These teachings are often imparted through the experiences and stories of various characters in different books. Let's explore some examples. Genesis, Joseph's story. In the book of Genesis, we encounter the story of Joseph. Despite facing betrayal and unjust treatment by his own brothers, Joseph's unwavering faith and integrity lead him to prosper in Egypt. God's presence is evident throughout Joseph's journey, teaching us the importance of forgiveness, humility, and trust in God's plan. The story of Joseph illustrates how God's guidance and teachings can shape a person's character and circumstances. Despite being sold into slavery by his own brothers, Joseph remains faithful to God and maintains his integrity. His ability to interpret dreams leads him to a position of authority in Egypt. Through Joseph's story, we learn the importance of forgiveness and resilience in the face of adversity. His reunion with his brothers and his statement, "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good," Genesis 50:20, exemplify the notion that God can use even difficult situations for his ultimate purposes. Exodus, the Ten Commandments. In the book of Exodus, God provides the Ten Commandments to Moses and the Israelites. These commandments serve as a comprehensive guide for living morally and ethically, emphasizing principles such as honoring parents, not stealing, not bearing false witness, and not coveting. These teachings continue to inspire believers to strive for righteousness. The Ten Commandments represent a foundational code of ethics that God provides to his people. They encompass both our relationship with God and our relationships with others. By following these commandments, individuals can live harmoniously and righteously. The commandments address issues such as idolatry, honesty, respect for parents, and the importance of a day of rest. These teachings guide believers in how to prioritize their lives according to God's principles. Psalms, wisdom and guidance. The book of Psalms is a collection of poetic verses that often reflect on God's guidance and wisdom. Psalms like 119 and 119 emphasize the blessings of meditating on God's law day and night, illustrating the importance of aligning our thoughts and actions with divine teachings. The Psalms offer a range of emotions and reflections, often highlighting the need for seeking God's wisdom and guidance. Psalm 1 compares a person who delights in the law of the Lord to a tree planted by streams of water. This metaphor signifies the nourishment and stability that come from meditating on God's teachings. Psalms like 19 and 119 emphasize the beauty of God's laws and the benefits of aligning one's life with them. Proverbs, wisdom literature. The book of Proverbs is filled with practical wisdom for daily living. Proverbs 3, 5, 6 encourages trust in God's guidance and the recognition of his role in directing our paths. Proverbs offers advice on topics such as honesty, humility, diligence, and the value of seeking knowledge. These teachings emphasize that a life lived in accordance with God's wisdom leads to success and a strong moral foundation. The book of Proverbs is filled with practical wisdom for daily living. Proverbs 3, 5, 6 encourages trust in God's guidance and the recognition of his role in directing our paths. Proverbs offers advice on topics such as honesty, humility, diligence, and the value of seeking knowledge. These teachings emphasize that a life lived in accordance with God's wisdom leads to success and a strong moral foundation. Isaiah, social justice and compassion. The book of Isaiah addresses themes of justice, mercy, and compassion. Isaiah 1:17 exhorts believers to learn to do well, seek judgment, relieve the oppressed, judge the fatherless, plead for the widow. This verse reminds us of God's call to actively engage in acts of kindness and social justice. The book of Isaiah contains powerful messages about social justice and compassion. Isaiah 1:17 calls for active engagement in helping the oppressed and vulnerable, reflecting God's concern for the well-being of all people. The book also contains prophecies about the coming Messiah, whose life exemplifies the values of justice, righteousness, and compassion. Jonah, lessons in obedience and mercy. The story of Jonah demonstrates God's patience and willingness to teach us through life experiences. Jonah initially disobeys God's command to preach to the people of Nineveh, but through his experiences he learns the value of obedience and the depth of God's mercy. The story of Jonah highlights the importance of obedience to God's call. Initially resisting God's command to preach to the people of Nineveh, Jonah experiences trials that lead him to a place of humility. Through his journey, he learns about God's mercy not only towards him, but also towards those he considers enemies. Jonah's experiences teach us about the transformative power of humility and God's willingness to extend grace. Matthew, Sermon on the Mount. In the New Testament, Jesus provides profound teachings in the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew 5:7. These teachings, including the Beatitudes and instructions on love, forgiveness, and prayer, lay out a blueprint for living a righteous and compassionate life. In the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus delivers profound teachings that shape the Christian understanding of ethics and morality. The Beatitudes, Matthew 5:3-12, emphasize humility, mercy, and peacemaking as qualities blessed by God. The teachings on anger, lust, and forgiveness challenge believers to cultivate inner righteousness and treat others with compassion. Luke, the parable of the Good Samaritan. In the parable of the Good Samaritan, Luke 10:25-37, Jesus teaches about loving our neighbors as ourselves, regardless of their backgrounds. This story emphasizes the importance of compassion and kindness towards others. The parable of the Good Samaritan exemplifies the concept of loving one's neighbor. In this story, a Samaritan shows compassion to a wounded traveler, transcending cultural and social barriers. Jesus uses this parable to illustrate that true love involves practical actions and transcends prejudices. This story encourages believers to demonstrate kindness and care to all people. These examples, among many others, showcase how the KJV Bible consistently teaches us the values of goodness, compassion, integrity, and obedience. The various characters and their experiences serve as lessons that guide us towards living lives that are pleasing to God and beneficial to our fellow human beings. In summary, the KJV Bible provides a rich tapestry of teachings and lessons that guide believers toward virtuous and righteous living. Through various characters, stories, and commandments, God's wisdom and guidance are consistently conveyed, offering a roadmap for navigating life's challenges with integrity, compassion, and faith. We hope that you study often with us. Encourage your friends to join with you. Share our content with them. It is important that you also take notes when you study. Go back to those notes for reference. Highlight verses and points that you find especially helpful. You will find in our description books and journals that you should use in order to keep yourself on track. We love you. Please subscribe to our channel for more lessons, guidance, and inspirational material on living a fulfilling and rewarding life. Be blessed.